Hey everyone, welcome to another video in this series about creating a chat app in Flutter the right way. And in this video, we'll be looking at creating our onboarding screen as we begin the process of creating our UI screens and bringing everything together so that we can start sending messages to each other. And before we start, there are a few packages that we need to install, a few assets that we need to have to get things up so that we can go ahead and create our onboarding UI. And the first thing is that we need all these packages here. We need the Flutter block package, and specific is the version. Since we are not running null safety at the moment, then we might have some conflicts depending on what version you use. So make sure that you use these specific versions when installing these packages. So we'll be using Google fonts so that we can use the specified font. We need an image picker so that we can set the profile image and our rethink Dart package to initialize rethink inside of our composition root, and also shared preference for local caching. Also, we have set up our assets library here, path, to our assets folder that we have created here. And inside of it now, I have just two images, the logo for the dark mode and the logo for the light mode. So we have those two logos right there and our assets ready to go. Also, inside of our lib folder, I've added two files, colors and theme, and inside the color we just have some colors that are consistent throughout the application that will represent both dark and the light theme. So we have our primary color, we have the bubble light, that is for the chat bubble, the color for the dark bubble, the app bar for dark, and we have the active user tab, the color for that, and the indicator bubble, which indicates whether or not the person is online, and also this color for our icon in the light theme. We also have we've created a theme Dart file, and this we use to configure our app theme so that we have the color scheme set up for both light and dark theme. And here I have a app bar theme that I configured so that I've set the center tile to false, elevation to 0, and the background color to white, and that is by default. And so for our light theme, this is a function I've created that returns theme data and accepts the build context here. And what it does is basically take the light theme that is already existing in Flutter, use copy with, and override particular properties that is specific to our light theme. So we set the primary color here, we set the scaffold background to white, and the app bar theme we have as our app bar theme that we have created here. Also, we have our icon theme for our light theme here. We set it to the icon light color, and then we have our text theme, and for that we'll be using the Comforter font from Google Fonts here, and we'll set the default color to black and set the visual density to be adaptive for the specific platform. And then we have the same thing, but this time it is for our dark mode or dark theme, where we have our dark, we have a copy with, set the primary colors, the scaffold automatically be set to black, and our app bar theme, now we want the background for our app bar to be the color that we have inside of our colors. For app bar dark, then we have our icon theme and we set that to black, and the text theme is the same thing as the light theme with the default display colors being white and the visual density as there. I've also created a helper method here that is used to determine whether or not we're in light theme or dark theme. And this will be used at various parts of our UI to determine what to be rendered on screen, even whether to render the light logo or the dark logo. So if I should close those, and now inside my lib folder, I'm going to create another folder called UI, and within this I'm going to create two folders. One is pages and another called widgets. Now inside my pages folder, I'm going to create another folder called onboarding, and there I'll create my onboarding Dart file. This is represent the screen, and I'm just going to create a stateful widget, call it onboarding. I'm just going to remove this here for null safety and go ahead and have that. Then inside of our main, I'll need to clear out all this. So here I'll remove all this. I'll change this to chat app, and then I'll delete all this, and instead here I am going to use my onboarding screen. So for my theme data, what I want to do is to say, instead of primary swatch, I'm just going to say theme rather. I should remove the theme data altogether here and set theme to be the light theme by default, and then the dark theme to be the dark theme from my helper method. And there we configured both light and dark theme there. We have an error here, and I believe we need to restart. So let me try that. So after restarting, everything worked as it should. So now we have a dark screen which represents our onboarding screen as it is. So for our onboarding screen, I'm just going to change this to a scaffold. And inside my scaffold, I want a app bar. Just going to add a app bar here. And for my app bar, I'm just going to make the background color to be transparent. Then I'm going to set the resize to avoid bottom inset to false. And for my scaffold body, I want a safe area. And for my safe area, I'm just going to add the child to be a container. And inside that container, for its child, I'm going to have a column that is used to render out the different elements. So now we have that there. So inside of our column, I am going to set the cross-axis alignment I am going to set this to be I want this to be center. I want that to be centered in the page. And then I'll have my children list of widgets that's inside of this column. And the first widget I want to add is my logo widget. I'm going to create a method that has the logo widget. So I'll create that method there. Then here, I'll go ahead and create that method. And inside for my logo, I'm just gonna create a row that will hold 3 elements. For my row also, I want the cross-axis alignment. I want that to be center. And also my main axis alignment to be center. So now for my children, I want a text and this is the name of the app. This is what I called it. You can call it something else. For my text style, I'm just gonna get the style from the theme. So I'm just gonna say theme of context. That means I'll have to pass in the context here. And then I'm just gonna say give me the text theme, and for that text theme I want to use the headline text style. I'm just gonna use headline 4, and it's good to use the default text theme that comes with Flutter, because then these text styles has accessibility built in by default. And if you care about accessibility, well, accessibility should be something that we care about. So we have those already built in to these. So it's good to use these text styles. I'm just gonna copy this width and I'm gonna set the font weight. I'm just gonna say give me font weight bold. So that's my text style. So I have my text, and the next children inside my next child inside my row, I'm just gonna use a sized box here to create some spacing. So I'm just gonna use a size box and give it a width of 8 pixels. Then here I'm gonna create a widget called logo, and this will represent my logo image, and this will give me the dark theme or the light theme logo. So I'm just gonna again copy this, because what I want is text, image, then text, and I want the same spacing in between. So there we have it. Now here I need to pass in the context here. So now I need to create this logo widget. So I'm gonna go inside my widgets folder here, create a onboarding, and create a logo widget here. Again, and this is gonna be a stateless widget. Just gonna call it logo. And here I do not really need the key, so I'm just gonna remove this key here. So now if I import this and save, then we should have our text with our image there missing. So for our logo widget, I'm just going to return that container, and for the child I'm just going to say is light theme. I'm going to use that method to say if it is the light theme, then image asset and return assets logo light png. Otherwise, image asset, go ahead and return the dark theme logo. So logo dark png. And for these, I'm gonna give it a fit. So for the fit box, just gonna give it a fit box fill. Should be box fit. I'm just gonna copy this here and paste it here also. So there we have our logo smack in the middle. So back to our onboarding screen, I am going to go back here to our children, and I'm gonna go ahead and use a spacer widget to create the space between the column elements and the next element, and by default the spacer has a flex of 1. The next element I want is the profile upload element, and this again is another widget that we have to create. So again, if I should go back to my widgets here, onboarding, go ahead, profile upload, and this gonna be a stateless widget. Again, the key here is not important, so I'll just get rid of that. Import it here. Back to my profile upload widget, and for this I am going to set the height and the width to 126 pixels. Then for the child, I want this profile upload to be a circular avatar, but to be clickable, so that when we click it, it will bring up the image picker so we can choose an image. So I'm going to use a material surface here, and for this material I'm going to set the color to say if it is a light theme, then I want the color to be, and this is the color of the material, and this represent the splash color when you click the button. I'm just going to set the color to be 2F. So it's FF 2F 2. Otherwise, let the color be and I already have these colors mapped out. So then I want a border radius. I am going to make this a circular border 126 0. And for the child, I'm going to use an inkwell. So now it is clickable. So as you can see, the circular material there, and it's not clickable at the moment, but with the inkwell, if I should add a on tap, let's see if it is clickable. No, it is clickable. So there we have it, the splash color, which is here. Now for my inkwell, I will have to set the border radius also to circular and give it that 126 so that it doesn't bleed out into a square. So now we have everything happening inside of the circle. So now for the child of our inkwell, I want it to be a stack, and a stack is that element that, as it suggests, stack elements or widgets on top of each other. So I'm going to set the fit to stack fit, and I'm going to set it to expand. Now for the children, I want a circular avatar. Then I add the child here, and for the child I want a image, and this image would be for now I want an icon as the child, so I'm gonna give it an icons, and I want the person outline rounded icon. make the size to be the same. Then the color of the icon is based on the theme. So again, if it is light theme, then I'm gonna use the K icon light. Otherwise, I'm just gonna give it a black color. So now we have the icon there. And let me set the background color to be transparent for the circular avatar. So now we see only the icon. So we have that. And then the next element, we'll add another icon, but this icon will wrap inside of an aligned widget and tell it to align it to alignment bottom right. So now we want this icon to be add circle rounded. And for this one, the color will be K, the primary color. And the size I want to be 38 pixels. So now we go ahead and save that. Now we have our add icon. This should be, instead of outline, it should be circle. So it should have a fill. And there we have our icon. So this is our profile uploader image picker button for our avatar. So back to our onboarding screen now. We have our uploader there. Next, I'm going to give it a spacer. Again, flex of 1. And then I'll add here I am going to create a custom text field. Here. So inside of widgets, I'm going to create another folder called shared. And here I'll create my custom text field. And for this, I'll create a stateless widget, custom text field. Again, I'll remove the key. Just quickly import that here. And I know that I need some padding around my text field, so I'm just gonna wrap that inside of a padding widget. and set the padding to edge insets. I'm just gonna only left, which will be 20 pixels, and right, which will also be 20 pixels. So back to my custom text field. So for my custom text field, there are a few variables that I want to accept. So I'm gonna accept the hint. I want a function which will determine the unchanged, that will be called as the unchanged callback, and I want a height. This will be double, and I want a text input action. So I'm just going to accept all these. Yes, hint, this height, and I'm going to make it to 54 by default. This unchanged, this input action. So now that I have that ready, I'm just gonna go ahead and set the height of the container to be the height that is passed in. Then for the child, I want a text field that will be, this text field will be customized. Just gonna set the keyboard type here. Text input type, it should be text. I'm gonna set the onChange method to the onChange callback that we pass in. Then the text input action to our input action. I'm going to set the cursor color to the primary color. And if I save that, we have a text field, but that's a default text field that hasn't been styled yet. So to style the text field itself, we need to set up our input decoration. So go ahead, and I want the content padding, and I'm gonna set these values. So I want the left to be 16.0. I want the right to be 16 also, and the bottom to be 8. So that's the content padding. Here I'm gonna set the hint text to the hint that we passed in, and also our border. I do not want a border, so I'm just gonna say input border and set that to none. Go ahead and save. Now the border is totally removed. So our text field is there, though it's not visible at the moment. what we need to do now is to, for our container, I am going to set the decoration also to style the container to have a circular border. So I'm going to give it a box decoration, and then I'm going to say the color of the text field, in this case the container itself, if it's light theme, then I want the color to be white. Otherwise, give me the K bubble dark color. And for the border, I want the border to be border all. Then again, the color of the border is dependent on the theme. So if it is light theme, then I want the border color to be otherwise I want the color to be this color. And again, I already have these colors inside of my Adobe XD mockups. So there's the color, and I want the width of the border to be 1.5 pixels. So now we go ahead and save that. And now we have our text field. But now we need to make it rounded by giving the border radius a circular border. So border radius circular, and I'm just gonna say 45. So that should make it round. And there we have our custom text field. So now we have our custom text field here. And I'm just gonna pass in some values. So for the hint, I want the hint to be my text. This is what is your name in my language. I also want the height to be 45 pixels, and the unchanged, I'm just gonna leave it there for now. The input action, I want to be text input action done. So there is our text field, our custom text field. So now, again, I'm just gonna give some space here, add a size box, give it a height of 30 pixels, and then now I'll add my button. So for the button, I want to add a elevated button here. Just gonna make the onPress empty for now. And the child is a container. So now for our elevated button, let us go ahead and style our button. So for the container itself, I'm gonna give it a height 45 pixel, same as the text field. and alignment is gonna say center. Next, for the child, I'm just gonna give it a text field. And here is my text. And I'm gonna style this again based on the text theme for the app. Context. And I'm just gonna get the text theme and use the button text theme again. This is good for accessibility by using the default text theme. I'm gonna copy with, I want the font size to be 18 pixels. Want the color to be white, and the font weight here to be bold. So next, for our elevated button, we want to style our elevated button. So how do we style our elevated button? Okay, we go ahead. There should be a style here property. So we can say elevated button dot, and we're going to use style from, and here we set the styling properties for our elevated button. So the primary color, I want to be my key primary. I want the elevation to be 5. So there, I changed the color of the button, but I want it to be a rounded button, so I'm going to change the shape of the button. So here, I'm just going to say shape, and I'm going to use a rounded rectangle border. And for this, I'm just going to say border radius circular, and 45 pixels. There we have our rounded button. So now we just need to wrap this inside of a padding widget and set the padding to be edge insets only, left 16, right 16. Now we have our button here. So next, inside of our column of widgets, I am going to add a spacer here to fill up the remaining space. And we can always set the flex here to tell it how many spaces to, so that we can push it further up. And that looks good. So this is our first onboarding page that we will see. And we have we have our image picker to be added here so that we can select images from our gallery to set as our profile image, to validate and to connect. So in the next video, we will set up those things. We'll also create a quick Node.js image processing backend so that we can upload images to localhost, download images from localhost, which would represent our image server that would upload our images to when they are added. But now I think if we should go ahead, change this to dark mode, go to settings, go to developer. If I should change the appearance to dark and go back here, it should give us the dark mode for our onboarding screen. So this is coming on quite well. In the next video, we'll be adding the functionality to this screen so that we can add images here, pick images, upload images to the server, and we can sign in whenever we click this button. So thank you guys for tuning in, and see you in the next video. I'll be working on that next video quickly so that I do not keep you guys waiting too long. So thank you for watching again, and see you in the next one.